So for us, we do all the we do broadcasting for ESPN events, and that includes digital shows, that includes linear shows, and we're capturing the audio from the venues to use in the broadcast. And that's the primary use case for us is those needs and just trying to capture a little bit better audio throughout the show and try to get those little minute details of, someone hitting the ball and then they slide into second base, for example, just being able to hear things a little bit more crisp, and hear those details come out in the broadcast is kind of what we were trying to achieve. So some of the challenges we faced were we had cameras that can be placed obviously in very good locations to acquire the video content for the broadcast, but sometimes the placement of those microphones isn't optimal to capture the audio. And that's something that we noticed a lot throughout the pandemic, when there weren't as many folks around them or near on the floor for basketball, for example. You could hear conversations much more clearly, and it became a concern for us. We didn't want to give away the secrets of the game and what the coaches were saying in the broadcast necessarily. And sometimes it wasn't necessarily what you wanted fans to hear anyway. So there was a combination of those things that kind of really started getting us trying to find something that would be a little bit, we could change how we captured our audio. That was the real challenge for us, was trying to change what we had done in the past prior to the pandemic. We started to notice there were some things we needed to make some changes in. And that was one of the ways we did it, was looking into parabolic mics, which we could position much differently than that shotgun style microphone that we had used in the past. Initially for us, we had never used parabolic microphones before the 2021 fall season. And we did a couple football broadcasts, and that was the first for us out of necessity with the pandemic occurring. We were using parabolic microphones that were rented for football broadcasts. So they were the very large scale systems, and they worked really well, and we really enjoyed working with them. And those were just rentals that were passed around from the different schools who were doing football on a week-to-week basis. But that's where we started to notice that we were really able to get a different sound than some of our other microphones. And that's where we started to reach out and check in with Clover and see what other products there were, because we knew that the large scale parabolic mics were just not something we're going to be feasible for us in all of our venues. And one of our audio technicians started doing a lot of research and started taking a look and see what they did for baseball and different things for basketball. In addition to football, started seeing a lot of different case studies out there where audio and how the microphones and parabolic mics were positioned. And that's where we started to see that Clover had multiple offerings, from large to medium to small parabolic mics. And we said, this, let's give it a shot. Let's try this on some things. And we started to play around with it really in the spring of 22 was really where we got everything in place. We started to really play around with everything in the spring of 21. And that's where we started to really notice that in our baseball broadcast, that's where we were seeing the difference in the sound. We were putting them in the outfield, and that's where Clover, we started working with Paul and said, this is fantastic, because the sounds we're capturing are just so different. We weren't hearing these sounds before. And that's where we really started to say, well, the Clover products are just fantastic for our needs. So we went with the medium size parabolic mics, and then we bought some smaller ones as well. And we just started using them in soccer this past season for the fall. So we've just kind of been deploying them in different places. We even used them at gymnastics. We've used them baseball and softball, obviously. So there's several different sports that are kind of unique, and we're trying to just tweak how we use them in each venue. And it's turned out really well with Clover so far. I'd say if you're on the fence or considering going into the parabolic world, I'd say make a small investment, buy a couple or borrow a couple or rent a couple if you can. Try them out in a broadcast or two and give yourself some time to get comfortable with how to use them. Make sure you've got um, some folks you can talk to along the way to kind of give you some ideas of where to place them, because you're going to want to put them in different places than you would put a traditional shotgun mic. And if you're able to do that, I think you'll start to notice there's some real advantages by putting a parabolic mic out in the field. If you use it the same way as a shotgun mic, you're going to say, wow, this is complete overkill. If I put, two shotgun mics out behind home plate and I put two parabolics out, you're going to start to say some things are just overkill because you capture so much more with the parabolic mic. Um, and that's where you're going to start to change how you do things. And, it allows you to put things in different places that, you wouldn't pick up audio. So we put something out in left field or right field, and we're able to capture all the way from left field all the way to center field. So we cover one half of the outfield with one parabolic mic and another half of the outfield with one other parabolic mic. And it totally changes. We weren't doing that with the shotgun mic. So we put them in much different places. So if you're on the fence, I'd say rent it, buy it, borrow it, try it out for a few shows and really change how you're looking at putting audio into your broadcast and putting those mics out in the field, because I think you'll start to really notice the difference after you try them out.